It's now time for part 5 of the fan casting series.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Pitch This here on the MrEliMac YouTube channel. I'm your host, MrEliMac, and we are now on part 5 of the fan casting series of What If the MCU was the DCCU. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about Superman Brainiac, which is my Captain America Winter Soldier analog, and Green Lantern Corps, which is my Guardians of the Galaxy analog, because space, and we need to start looking at space a little bit more. And before I actually get into the fan castings, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. So with the preamble out of the way, let's get into the fan casting, because who knows how long this is going to take with the Green Lantern Corps introducing a whole bunch of new characters outside of one. So we're going to go into Superman Brainiac first. There's only really 5 new castings that I need to talk about here, and that is mainly just the 5 new characters that will be introduced, as obvious. So first, I'm going to start off with sort of like a supporting antagonist. The way I describe this supporting antagonist is how you would look at, let's say, Crossbones in the film. So this person would serve as a sort of guy that's going to be fighting some of the other heroes when Superman is fighting the big bad. And that would be Rudy Jones' Parasite. And for Parasite, I cast Luke Evans. And I cast Luke Evans because Luke Evans was someone that I always looked at as a potential for a Batman figure, but around the time when all of this was happening, when I was doing the timeline wise, he wasn't really acting at that point. And around 2014, he was still on the up, still trying to get to that A-list status and still on the rise as an actor. And so I think putting him in a role like Parasite, where he gets to have a lot of great action sequences with Superman and other heroes that I will be mentioning soon, I think this would be a great opportunity for Luke Evans. And also I think Luke Evans can bring a bit of sinisterness to this character, while also trying to be a, hey, I can't help what I'm doing, I have to like suck on people's life forms, that way I can survive. I think Luke Evans could do a really good job with that role. So Luke Evans is Parasite. Next up, I'm going to start talking about 2 of the supporting heroes, 2 new characters that are being introduced, and the first one is John Henry Irons, aka Steel. I very much look at Steel as the Falcon analog, as someone that will be introduced in the film as someone that is helping out Superman, someone that is helping build tech for Superman in Star Labs, trying to help Superman improve. I could even see John Irons being the one that builds an anti-parasite suit for Superman that helps him fight Parasite. And of course, when I mentioned Steel, so John Henry Irons would be wearing the steel armor in the film, and he would be the one that really, near the 3rd act of the film, goes toe-to-toe with Parasite. And it's because of the suit that he's wearing, the steel armor, that is keeping him from getting, like, being killed by Parasite's touch. And for Steel, I cast Mahershala Ali. Now, Mahershala Ali, we all know, is a 2-time Academy Award winner. He's about to play Blade in the MCU, so we all know how great of an actor he is. But around this time, he wasn't really given the just dues and just desserts that he is getting now. He wasn't getting the flowers that he was then as he was now. So putting him in the supporting role, I think this really would help his stock around this time. I also think a lot of people would be able to focus on him, giving him a lot of shine, giving him a lot of love, and I think Mahershala Ali would do a great job playing John Henry Irons, someone who is a fan of Superman, while also being able to be a inspiration for characters of color, and like being able to have people be like, oh, that's Steel, this is awesome. And I think Mahershala Ali would do an amazing job as Steel. Next up is another character that would be introduced, which is Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. Supergirl would debut in this film. However, for a good, I would say the first act of the film, maybe the first half of the film, she would be unconscious. She would not be she wouldn't be in the main plot line of the film. And Superman's just trying to wake her up because he doesn't know what's happening. Star Labs is helping out, and with the storyline that I would have her be sort of out of it. But then once she wakes up and we start learning more about the threat that is happening in the film, she starts being more of a proactive character, though she would still be I still very much I can't really do everything I can because I'm still a bit groggy. And Supergirl would very much serve as the character that would inform a little bit more about the main antagonist. So for Supergirl, I casted Diana Agron, who is best known for being in Glee. I cast her because I was thinking around the time people who would be in the teenage or be playing teenage characters or young adult characters, and Diana Agron has always been sort of the person I looked at as if they would have ever put Supergirl in a movie in 2014 or around this time, I think she would have been the person that would have been perfect for the role, especially with the development she had in Glee. And I think she would have done a really great job as Supergirl. I think she would have been able to play off of Henry Cavill's Superman, and I think she would have been able to make the character her own and be able to play a seriousness and also a playfulness, especially the serious side with who the main threat of the film is going to be. So Diana Agron is Kara Zor-El, Supergirl. And I very much mentioned in my very first Superman movie when I was doing the casting that we wouldn't touch on the Kryptonian heritage in that film. And in Justice League, we would touch upon it with Starro looking at Superman being you're a Kryptonian. And then Superman being what's a Kryptonian? And again, this film would very much be where we do talk about the Kryptonian heritage. We start learning more about who Superman is, or at least Superman would start learning more about who he is and learning that he is a Kryptonian. He is not of Earth. He is an alien. And this is when we start getting more. And because we're learning more about him, we'll see a cameo, or at least an appearance, of Jor-El. And so Jor-El would need to be cast in the film. And for Jor-El, I cast, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me again, Russell Crowe, because I just loved Russell Crowe in Man of Steel. And Russell Crowe was a great casting for Jor-El, and I don't want to change it. I think Russell Crowe did a really great job as Jor-El, and I think Russell Crowe could continue to play a great Jor-El. He would only appear in this one film, and it would just be a hologram message, because this film would also be the debut of the Fortress of Solitude, where we would finally get the Fortress of Solitude of classic Superman, and then that's when we would get the reveal of Jor-El, and we'd get a little bit more of that. But again, he wouldn't be in the film a lot. He would just be in it for a few scenes, but still, I think Russell Crowe would do a great job and would continue to do a great job as Jor-El. Next up is the main antagonist, Brainiac, who I would very much write him in a way where he is different from comic book Brainiac. His character's name would be Milton, which would be a reference to the human that he would take over, and even an alternate name that he did in Smallville Season 5, Milton Fine, and he would just portray himself as a Kryptonian, calling himself Milton, and that's when we would get the reveal midway through the film that no, he's not actually a Kryptonian. He's actually the brain interactive construct created by Jor-El to help Krypton. And so we would get that big reveal of no, Brainiac's actually a robot, and what he's really trying to do is eliminate the last Kryptonian, and that is what he plans to do here. And he's trying to ingratiate himself with Superman, trying to get to know him a bit more before he fully tries to take him out. And then Supergirl puts in a hitch to that, and then the final fight with Superman and Brainiac. And so for Brainiac, I cast Ralph Fiennes, who a lot of people have fan cast Ralph Fiennes as Brainiac, and I just think Ralph Fiennes would be a fantastic Brainiac. I mean, you look at him, he looks like he could be Brainiac. I also look at him, and I think if we portray him in the way of, Milton, the guy that is very much trying to seem like a mentor figure to Superman, someone who is informing him of his Kryptonian heritage, someone who's trying to be an ally. I think Ralph Fiennes could portray Brainiac a little bit in that direction as well. And I do think that Ralph Fiennes could be a sympathetic character, do a sympathetic way to do Brainiac while also being the sinister Brainiac. We wouldn't get the traditional Brainiac trying to take up the city of Metropolis and then destroy Earth. We wouldn't get that story yet. And this one, it would be a little bit more personal with Brainiac trying to get in with Superman. And I very much wanted to separate Superman Brainiac with the next story that Brainiac is in, because I wanted this story to be a little bit more personal because it is a Superman story, whereas the next one would be a very bit more like traditional Brainiac. So in this one, it is just simple Ralph Fiennes as Brainiac trying to manipulate Superman. So Ralph Fiennes is my Brainiac, and that is all the castings I have for Superman Brainiac. And then we go over to the next film, which would be Green Lantern Corps. And Green Lantern Corps would be our spacefaring movie where we would see the different types of galaxies and universes in the DC cinematic universe. And Jon Stewart, David Oyelowo, would be the lead character. He would sort of be our Peter Quill, like our focus point. And I really wanted to do that because I really wanted to give David Oyelowo his own film. I wanted to give Jon Stewart his own film where he could sort of lead his own team of Green Lanterns. And I do look at this as sort of a way to do something similar to the Green Lantern animated show, where in that show it was Hal Jordan, Kilowog, and Ava, and like Razor, the Red Lantern, where it's like it's like Hal Jordan's own mini team to go and save the world. But in this one, it's just Jon Stewart and 4 other members of the Green Lantern Corps to go out and like solve this major crime that's happening in the universe. And right now, besides Jon Stewart, we'll do the other characters that will be introduced in the film. And the first one is Aricia Robb, who's very much serving as my Gamora analog. And to say the female character on the team would be a little rude, but also it's very true, and that's very much why Gamora, I think, was very much part of the Guardians of the Galaxy whilst also being a member of the team in the comics, but that's neither here nor there. But Aricia Robb would very much be one of the characters in it. I would have her be I would have 2 of the characters that we have are sort of newer characters, and they're sort of like put with John and the other 3 members to sort of get an idea of like, hey, this is what it's like to be a Green Lantern. And Aricia Robb would be one of those characters. And for Aricia Robb, I cast Amanda Seyfried. And I really like Amanda Seyfried in acting. I think she does a really great job. Like, her performance in Mean Girls shows one aspect of her character, but then seeing her in other films really do show that she can play a very serious character. And I really did enjoy her in Mamma Mia, and I very much another reason why I wanted to put her in here. So Amanda Seyfried is Aricia Robb. The other newer Green Lantern member who would be joining this team is Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner would be another character where he was just added to the Green Lantern Corps, and so Kyle Rayner is going with this team to sort of learn more about what it's like to be a Green Lantern and sort of go on this mission with Jon Stewart and the other 2 members, or the other members of this veteran team. And so for Kyle Rayner, I cast Diego Boneta. To be honest, I've only seen Diego Boneta in one movie, and that was Rock of Ages. However, I did really enjoy him in this film. Also, I wanted to cast a Latino actor since Kyle Rayner is a Latino character, and I really wanted to get that Latino actor. And Diego Boneta, when I remember him in Rock of Ages, he did a really good job for me. He was able to play the emotion, like the serious emotions, while also being a funny guy. And so I really think Diego Boneta would do a great job. So Diego Boneta is Kyle Rayner. Next up, the other veteran member of this team would be Kilowog. And I really wanted Kilowog to be a major character in this film. I think Kilowog is a great character. I love Kilowog. He's normally portrayed as the drill sergeant character, but I think having him be sort of like the other major veteran on this team would be fun, because Jon Stewart had by this point only been Green Lantern since 2010, and so having like 4 years have passed and he's now a 4-year veteran as Green Lantern has done so much. Kilowog, out of all the 5 members of this team that we're doing, is like the most senior statesman here, but I think Kilowog would be a lot of fun to have be sort of like the Drax character. The best way I can describe it as, hey, I take things seriously and sometimes irony goes over my head. But for Kilowog, I cast Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White is one of my favorite actors whenever it comes to action roles, like martial arts type roles. I really love him in almost everything I have seen him in, even in Spawn. I really did like him in Spawn. I think he was one of the best parts of Spawn, and I really do think that he would do a great job as Kilowog. So Michael Jai White as Kilowog. And now for the final member of our team of 5, and that we are going to be following, and that member is Chip. I really wanted to put an animal character because Rocket Raccoon, I wanted to continue with that animal character, and I decided to go with the Green Lantern talking squirrel. And I think that Chip would be a fun character to have in this film. I've only seen him in a few things, and even when I saw him in the Green Lantern First Flight thing, I really didn't enjoy him, that character, in that role. So for Chip, I cast Bill Hader. I think Bill Hader would be perfect for Chip. Chip would be a character that would have a lot of comedy, but also I think he is someone that could be like Rocket, where it's like, oh, I'm just a little hateful towards the universe and the galaxy. And so I think Bill Hader could play that really well. So Chip is Bill Hader. Next up are some of the other Green Lanterns that we're going to be having in the film, but they're going to mainly be staying on Oa during this point. The first one is Salak, who is like a 4-armed, like big protruding mouth type character, and I would sort of have him serve as like mission control, where it's like, okay, I'm monitoring everything that's happening, I'm keeping control of everything. And so for Salak, I cast Doug Jones. Originally I was going to cast someone else for this role, but then I remembered what Doug Jones could do, and I was thinking, oh, you could sort of do this as a character, like a creature in a suit with just computer generated imagery like on top of it to help clean it up a bit. But I really think Doug Jones is a really great actor, especially if you watch him in Hellboy 2, where he actually got to play Abe Sapien. I think Doug Jones would do a really great job, and so Doug Jones is my Salak. The other character is Tomar-Re, who would be another character that would just mainly be staying on Oa, and he would do his own things, but he's mainly on Oa. And for Tomar-Re, I cast Peter Capaldi. I love Peter Capaldi. I think he was amazing in The Suicide Squad. I thought he was amazing in The Musketeers. I thought he did a really great job as the Doctor. And I just want Peter Capaldi as an alien in my universe. And so Peter Capaldi is Tomar-Re because I think he could play sort of a mentor-like figure to our main 5 characters. And I think Tomar-Re could also play sort of a soft character where he could look out for them when other characters are being a little too strict on them. He could be like, hey, let's be a little polite to what they're doing. So Tomar-Re is Peter Capaldi. And sort of the last of the Green Lantern Corps, besides the one Guardian I'm going to put in this film, or I'm going to mention, is Sinestro. I'm not making Sinestro a bad guy in this film. Sinestro is very much a Green Lantern still in this film. We'll have time for him to be a villain in another film, but he is someone that is going to be sort of the most rough around the edges character. And for this actor, people have already seen him as Sinestro, but he was so great in it, I had to bring him back, and that is Mark Strong. Mark Strong was perfect as Sinestro. Like, that was the perfect casting for Sinestro at the time, and I wanted to keep on going. I wanted Mark Strong to continue playing Sinestro, and so yeah, Mark Strong is my Sinestro. We've seen it, he was perfect, let's continue on. And now for the main antagonist of the film, which would be the Manhunter High Master, which is sort of like the leader of the Manhunters, because I want the Manhunters to sort of serve as the main antagonist, where the Manhunters have returned and they're sort of like attacking the universe, trying to install their own will after going away from what the Guardians were doing. So the Manhunters have returned, and for the leader of the Manhunters, and all of them would sort of have the same voice, but this is just, I'm just saying who the leader is because this guy would be voicing all of them, and that is Lance Reddick. You just hear Lance Reddick's voice, and you can hear a commanding presence in his voice. You know for a fact that he is here for business, and I think Lance Reddick could do a really great job, especially when he's playing the High Master, where he has to play more of the leader figure of it all. I think he would do a great job as sort of the leader of this robotic, villainous organization of Manhunters. So Lance Reddick is the Manhunter High Master. Now for the next antagonist, sort of like the secondary antagonist, is Kanjar-Ro. Kanjar-Ro would sort of serve as someone that's working for the Manhunters, like whenever it's coming, sort of like, if you can remember, there was a 2-part animated episode in the Justice League animated show where it was Green Lantern having to go to court and basically for the Manhunters, and Jor-El was sort of working under them. That's sort of where he would work, but unlike that one, we wouldn't put John Stewart on trial. It's just Jor-El is working for them, trying to cause instability to force the Manhunters to be like, oh look, the Green Lantern Corps isn't helping, we'll be the ones to instill our own will, and Jor-El is just helping with that little chaos. And for Jor-El, I cast Lee Pace. Lee Pace, someone who originally played Ronan in the Guardians of the Galaxy, bringing him into their analog as Jor-El, hopefully in a role where we can have more fun. And I would even portray Jor-El to have more of a personality, to have a little bit more fun, instead of being like, oh, I'm a space pirate doing evil things. Like, no, you're going to be having fun. You're going to be a little bit more of a charismatic character. And Lee Pace is a charismatic actor. I know he can bring charisma to all the characters he plays. And just for this one, he would be able to play with that charisma that he has. And I know he could do a great job. So Lee Pace as Jor-El. For the final 2 characters, it's a Guardian and someone that will be helping set up future stuff. And first up for the Guardian, it would be Ganthet. And Ganthet would very much serve as sort of like the voice for the Guardians, and someone that is sort of the more sympathetic member of the Guardians, hence why I'm specifically mentioning him. And Ganthet would very much be the person that the team are speaking to the most, and be the one that's like, hey, don't worry guys, everything's gonna go fine, you don't have to worry about the other Guardians going too crazy with it. And so for Ganthet, I'm casting Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is an actor that could bring the gravitas of, you can look at him and be like, oh yeah, you're the leader of this grand corps of lanterns. And I could very much see Anthony Hopkins playing Ganthet with sympathy, with a tenderness, with a kindness, because that's sort of what Ganthet is. He is a sympathetic, kind character. Out of all the Guardians, he's the one that has really the most emotion and the one that likes people the most. So I think Anthony Hopkins could do a really great job as that character. So for Ganthet, I cast Anthony Hopkins. And last character is someone that will be setting up the future. That is Glorious Godfrey, one of the members of Darkseid's elite. He would be someone that would very much you would see appear on multiple TVs, for lack of a better term, like, oh, this just in from Glorious Godfrey, and just talking about what's happening throughout, but also serving as a character that would be someone that would help the Manhunters do what they are doing. Someone that the Green Lantern Corps would actually go to and be like, hey, you need to answer for your crimes with helping the Manhunters. And Glorious Godfrey's like, no, I work for Darkseid. You're not gonna touch me, because I know you don't want to incur the wrath of Darkseid. You don't want an all-out war to happen with Darkseid and the Green Lantern Corps, do you? And the Green Lanterns are like, no, we're not gonna do anything. And it's like, I thought not, so bye-bye. And Glorious Godfrey would be the one that would have the gift of the gab, for lack of a better term. And so for Glorious Godfrey, I cast Michael Sheen, because Michael Sheen would do fantastic in this role. I will not hear anything otherwise. Michael Sheen is a charismatic actor. Just watch his stuff with David Tennant, and you can see the type of, sort of like, I would not even be surprised if he would have that much energy in the role, because I think Michael Sheen would do a fantastic job as Glorious Godfrey. And I know Michael Sheen would be able to have a fun time being a little bit sinister, while also being like, oh, what are you talking about? I very much look at Glorious Godfrey to have a snarky side of him. So yeah, Michael Sheen is Glorious Godfrey. And that is the casting for Superman, Brainiac, and Green Lantern Corps. What are your thoughts on some of the castings? I know I went by a little fast on a lot of them, but it's really because I really want to try to keep these videos under 30 minutes. And I really hope that you all enjoyed this casting. Next up would be the last 2 films of the second phase of this universe. And I'm looking forward to even talking a little bit about the stories for those films, for the ones who missed the original set of videos. And so yeah, that was my casting. What did you think about the castings? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Were you indifferent to them? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. Again, also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, hit the notification bell. That way you, right there, can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. But until then, I've been MrEliMac, you've been the audience, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.